Hello and welcome to Learning Left-Handed. This is episode 11. I can't believe it, but we've made it so far, and I'd like to thank everyone who is listening. We're getting more and more each week. Please recommend it to your friends, family, to that weird guy in your office, because there is always one in the office, isn't there? And if there isn't one, it's you. Anyway, this is Learning Left-Handed, part 11. Today, first of all, we're going to talk about graphic design tips. We're going to give you 12 different tips to make your graphics amazing. When I say a graphic, I don't just mean pictures, I don't just mean words, I mean putting them together to make a nice poster or triptych, whatever you need. This is suggested by a group of school kids up in Montana, so I'd like to give a big shout out to them. Thank you for this lovely idea, and I hope it helps you all with your project this week. Okay, let's begin. Out of the 12, we have number 1. You've got to take a look at the latest design trends, because you have to understand what everyone else is doing and see if you can do it better, or just that slightly different to make it unique to you. We have number 2. You have to check out projects that are similar to yours. Admittedly, this one isn't so much for the Montana kids, but it's definitely worth checking out, because if you see what works for others, see what they're doing, you might learn something. You might learn that they can't design anything, which is also good for the soul. Worth doing. Number 3, keep your design clean and crisp. That means lovely lines, no blurriness, no bad scaled picture, which basically means you've made a small picture too big, so it's too pixelated. Just keep it clean and crisp. Number 4, you've got to choose colours that work well together. It's very easy to find out. I would recommend going onto Pinterest, and they will say which colours go with which. Highly worth knowing for this profession, for those people who aren't doing school projects, that it is extremely well, it's good to know, let's just say that. Number 5, use a grid system layout to lay out what you are going to put. So I want you to picture your project in your head, and you're going to put it into 9 blocks. So you're going to put 2 lines down each side, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I want you to picture in your head what is going in each block. It doesn't just have to stay within that block. You can move the lines to fit whatever. It's just a nice mental way, and also a nice descriptive and creative, and visually, most especially visual way to understand how to do this. Extremely worth it, probably the most important one out of the 12. Number 6, limit the number of fonts you use, because you don't want to start off with something extremely boring like Times New Roman, and then the utterly annoying Comic Sans, then you throw in Wingdings. No one is going to understand what the tone is. So try and keep them to a minimum. 2 to 3 max would be my suggestion. 7. Add emphasis to important words. AKA, make ones look like they're slightly bigger, or the ones that are in the middle, the ones that are most important to this graphic design. Very important with that. Number 8. We're going to talk about something that not many people know about, that a lot of the fonts have a family of fonts. Either they've got the same creator, or similar creator, or similar style. Definitely worth looking at that, because it does help that little bit more to do that. Number 9, you've got to create contrast in your design. Going back to the colours, what I was talking about earlier, you've got to have a big smashing difference. So like black on white, white on black, for example. Those are the biggest ones, but there's lots of other colours that go together. As I said before, Pinterest that. It's worth doing. Now, number 10, experiment with symmetry. Symmetry means that it looks one side equal to the other. Admittedly, it's not brilliant for every design, but it does give you that little nuance, that little that everyone seems to like when doing this type of thing. So try and do that. Number 11, use a scale to emphasize hierarchy. So you want, basically the biggest thing is going to be what they see first. and then they're going to look at the title. After that, they're going to look at the little lettering that is underneath the picture. Generally in that order, because as they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. They are not wrong. It means that we see something before we read the sign. So just keep that in mind. And finally, don't crowd elements in one area. AKA, you don't want to stick everything in the top right hand corner or the bottom right hand corner. Try and spread it out as much as you can. You have the entire space for that reason. Those have been 12 tips for graphic design. I hope it helps everyone out in their various projects. This has been part 1. Thank you for listening. Part 2 will start right now. In this part, we'll be talking about Powerful Networking Secrets Part 2. If you've missed Part 1, go back to episode 9 and go and listen to that as soon as you've finished listening to this one. Because it doesn't matter in what order you hear them in, they are all very helpful. Now we're going to start off with the Library of Power Networking. These are going to be some books that I highly suggest that you read or listen to as an audio book. Hey, we're not prejudiced against how you enjoy taking in books. These are the 4. Let's Swim with Sharks Without Being Eaten Alive, Win the Race for the 20th Century Jobs, Little Black Book of Connections, and Skills with People. Those are the 4 books that we recommend that you listen to, read, whatever seems to work best for you guys. And number 7. This is going to be a very interesting one, because I think a lot of people could use this in their daily lives. This is the 5 steps of how to win an argument. First, you've got to be open to disagreement. Understand that not everyone is so high and mighty and understands you. And some people are what we like to call stupid. So keep that in mind. Second, you must check your temper, because no one's ever won an argument by being very angry. It generally just makes more anger, which then annoys everybody. So don't do that. Third one, listen for opportunity. Okay, you got to see where their argument cracks, where they're not 100% shored up in their wall. So make sure you listen for that. Fourth one, stay open for common areas to agree. Like for example, you might not agree with the main point, but you can come to a middle ground on a couple of the smaller ones. That way both people win, or under the illusion of winning at least, and I highly recommend doing that. Next one, and final one, have a think over the other person's ideas. It'll make them respect you a little bit more because that you've taken time out of your day to understand their side of it. Don't do that all the time because it is annoying to live with. That's a personal thing, I know, but definitely worth doing that. And finally, we're going to talk about edification, which is the technique for others to develop confident skills while removing obstacles created by a lack of confidence. So basically, what this means is, say you've always wanted to open a business, right? It's a coffee shop. Let's say this is Big Joe's Coffee Shop. You're Joe. Nice to meet you. You're going to use edification to take the obstacles that you yourself create. For example, say you have a panic attack over, well, should I sell Java coffee or should I sell Arabica? Just by doing, you just got to be a bit confident, or do both. See which sells well and do it like that. You've got to have confidence in yourself that you can provide an option. Because just being worried about something isn't going to get you very far. And there's 4 ways you can do this. There's 4 suggested approaches that are great to instill confidence and develop networks. You can be the ringleader, aka the person with plans. The event introduces the speaker from the heart. You've got to be from the heart, and basically you're going to be the person who organises stuff. Once you organise it, you feel better in yourself that you have got out of your shell, and in some ways it helps your lack of confidence within your lack of confidence demon inside you, if you'd like to call it that, to push itself to think, oh, I've made my own bed, I've got to lay in it now situation. Forces yourself out of your shell. Very worth doing. After that, you have the daisy chain. So you have you and someone else doing it together, linking arms, both as in you lift each other up. You float up together, as they say. Next you have a tag team, which basically means that this time you do something, the next time they organise something. Back and forth like that, so it's fair, everybody wins, and that way you can see stuff that you wouldn't have expected from another person. And finally, you have the private sessions, which basically means that you're both going to pump each other up privately before you both go out and conquer the entire town. Hopefully not under a bloody revolt, and hopefully not against me. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. This has been episode number 11. I still can't believe that we've done this for 11 weeks. Thank you so much everybody for listening, and have a great day. And this has been Learning Left-Handed.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Learning Left-Handed. I don't know about all of you, but I have been looking at places to go on holiday this year. So I was discussing this with my mates, and I was saying, you know what, that would make a great episode. Why haven't you done that yet? So I said to myself, you're right. So today on Learning Left-Handed, episode 12. Just think of that. We're on episode 12. It's gone so fast. We're going to be talking about travel apps that you need to try on your next holiday. I know I'll be trying most of these. I don't have an iOS phone, so I cannot do them all. But most of them you can do with either type. Okay, let's begin with travel apps you need to try. First, you need to try Trail Wallet, which is the easiest app to work out your travel budget. Highly worth having a look at it. It's got great reviews, definitely worth checking out. Secondly, and probably the most obvious one on here, is Google Translate, for the obvious reasons for translating and working out. I've seen actual people just going back and forth with Google Translate. So one person, when I was in Greece, I noticed that there was a Greek and English person just sending audios back and forth in their opposite languages. It was really cute, and it's definitely the future. Then you can use this third one called Revolut, which is a card app, so you don't have to worry about exchange fees. It's one of the best places to do it. TransferWise is also a great place to do it as well. So keep your eye out for either of them, they work well. Fourthly, you have Clips, which is a great travel video editor, recommended by a close friend of mine. I would recommend it. Have a look at it, check it out. Fifthly, you've got TriCounts, which is your expenses as a group. So say you've got a group of lads, you're going on holiday, you want to work out how much each person owes. It's perfectly good for that. Just write everything down and it'll work it out for you. After that, you have this app called Meetup, which shows the events and places, stuff that's happening where you are. So say you've never been to Greece, for example, and you have no idea what's happening. You go into Meetup, and it'll show you, oh, there is a fishing competition on this side of the island. On the other side of the island, they're having a sardana competition, or they're having whatever is happening on the island, you can see it on Meetup. The next one is called Halide, or Halide, Halide, or Halide, whatever. It's great for travel photos. That is what I've been told. Have a check out that one yourself. Next, you have Triposo, or Triposa, 1S. It's a map and city guide, and it will give you little bits of information about the city that you're going to. Worth having a check out. Friends have highly recommended it, and I trust them. So have a look at that. Then you have Maps.me, which is your iOS map guide. As I said, not all things I'm talking about are for Android, so this is your iOS shout out. This one's not for you unless you have iOS. Next, you have PackPoint, which will give you a packing list of what you'll need when you go to certain places. It'll work out the weather, and it'll be like, well, on Tuesday it's going to rain, so we recommend you bring some whether to pack some jeans or if it's going to be sunny, to pack some shorts and bits and pieces. You can work this out yourself, of course, but this just makes your life a little easier. So instead of having to think, oh no, what am I going to need? Definitely worth checking out. After that, you have this new thing which has just been told to me literally 2 hours ago, so I haven't done the most research on it, but it's called Eat With. And basically it's an app that allows you to meet up with locals and eat their traditional food. Some people go to a restaurant, other people have it cooked. It's definitely an experience for the people who haven't done it. You know, it's something to, when you come back, you said everyone has been to the castle, but no one's had John's frittata, and John makes an amazing frittata. That type of thing. Definitely worth checking out. I hope you've enjoyed this list. This has been part 1. Welcome, this is now part 2. This is going to be our third part of our very popular series of little TikToks that I have found, and that will be very helpful to you. This is part 3. I hope you've enjoyed it so far, and I hope you continue to. Okay, first things first. This is for the people that are still looking for remote work. I know most work at the moment is still remote because people are getting rid of offices left, right and centre, or other people who are desperately trying to cling on to the office culture by getting the office dog. And for weird amount of people, the office wine bar. How can we be more efficient with wine? I don't know about you, but whenever I've got a glass of wine in my hand, the first thought isn't, you know what, I should be doing something important right now, but I'm enjoying this lovely glass of wine. How about I don't do that? Brilliant, don't you think? So yeah, these are the places that have been highly recommended by my researchers. There's a place called Zapier, that's Zapier, remote.com, Clipboard Health, Sketch, How to Geek, Lead Finder, and weirdly Wikipedia is looking for people as well. Definitely keep your eye out for that, you know, because we all like those famous and very professional editors. They get paid a lot, so I've been told. Next one. This is for my editing buddies out there, and I know there's a lot of them, especially in the States, so I want to give a shout out to you guys. You're the biggest group who listened to last week's. So this is for you. It's to remove picture backgrounds. Lots of people have been doing this on Fiverr, making a bit of money. It's great. But basically, it's a lot simpler way of doing it. You just go to a page called remove.bg and then you put the pic up. Put the photo up, upload it, and then it will take the background out for you. Definitely worth doing, because you can make a little sly bit of money whenever you need it. Whenever I'm a bit tight for money and I'm going out, I think, you know what, I'm going to help some people out, I'm going to get paid, I'm going to do this, boom, make some money there. Now, like me, most of you are going to be speaking English, otherwise I don't know why you're listening to this, but I appreciate it. And there is this website called acx.com, and basically they have lots of books on there that need turning into audiobooks. So you'll get paid there. You just pick a book and start going. Really worth having a look at. Okay, next we are going to talk about a new website, at least for me, that's going to design very pretty emails. So a lot of people just send a standard text, and there's, you know, when you think of an email, you think it's very boring, black and white, but this is going to make it nice and pretty. So it's going to cheer up the day of whoever gets sent it, especially if you put a little joke at the bottom. At least that works in my experience. It's called Privy, Privy, and it is a great place to design it, so it's definitely worth doing it. Now, this next one, we were deciding whether or not to put it in or not, because some people say they don't have any jobs, some people say they have loads of jobs, depending on which place that they live in. So we've decided to put it in and leave it up to you whether or not you guys will have a look at it or not, but give it a go anyway. It's a little side hustle. It's called appen.com. It has little micro tasks and surveys and bits and pieces. Works better, we've worked out, if you don't live in London, there seem to be lots of people in London doing it, so there's not many jobs going around at the moment. Okay, next one. This is for the people who like having powerful extensions. Extensions, I don't mean extension leads, I mean people who find websites that are very helpful. This one was recommended by a group of dads that sent this email to me. It was their first email they've ever done. Their kids have been getting them onto podcasts. But yeah, it's something that's one of them found the other day. It is called Compilation, and it checks the prices of different things that have been bought online. So say you're on Amazon and you're looking for, let's say, some headphones. It will find out when the most expensive time, when the cheapest time, and it'll actually, if you can set it up, it'll set up an alarm to tell you when it goes back into your pay bracket. So say you're waiting for these 30 quid headphones to go down to 20, you'll set up an alert on Compilation. That is Camelizer, Compilation, and it will send you a little alert for it. Next one. This is for more of my copywriting fans and my social media people, because they always like a new trick, don't you, social media people? It's to resize all of your social media platform photos. So this thing will make the photo appear perfectly for each and every social media you have, because they're all slightly different. And this is called Pixel Hunter. Definitely give it a try. I'm going to be trying it for this week, so I hope it works as well for me as it works for you. Now this one is for my coding friends or people who just want to start coding, and it's completely free. And I can't believe that when someone told me about this, I thought, I've got to find out, is it actually free? But it is a Harvard offers an introduction to coding course, completely and utterly free. This is what I've been told. So go to this website, go to onlinelearning.harvard.edu/course/cs50_introduction_computer_science. Give it a go. It's completely free, so even if you learn one thing, you've learned it from Harvard. And I'm not going to lie, it's going to look really nice having that little certificate on your wall saying, look, oh look, he learnt something from Harvard. That's brilliant. Something to keep in mind. Okay, and only two more today. This is going to be good for the people who are worried at the moment, especially in my country, in England, about the cost of living raise. And you're going to have to work, and it works out how much your cost of living will be depending on where you live. So say for example, in this modern age, you can do all of your work from a laptop. It'll tell you how much it'll cost to live in this country for it, or to go somewhere else like Bali or Belize or somewhere where the cost of living is obviously a lot cheaper. And that is called nomadlist.com or numio.com. Those are the two biggest. We couldn't decide which one we preferred, so give them both a go. I'll say that name again, nomadlist.com and numio.com. Definitely worth checking out. And finally, this is for the people who are podcasters or bloggers and they just need good ideas for the next thing to put on there. It is an unlimited content type of thing, so you just put in some words, some SEO words, and it'll work out a title generator, literally called titlegenerator.com. Highly recommend that you ever check it out. Thank you as always for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful week, because this has been Learning Left-Handed. Hello and welcome back to Learning Left-Handed. Today we are talking about two amazing things that will be very helpful for you in the future. This list was created by me, so I hope you enjoy it. This is ways to get inspired. I'm going to tell you 25 different ways of getting inspired, and I hope at least 3 of them will be helpful for you. The first one is the most obvious. You've got to look at art. Art is just inspires a lot of people to be creative, either copying ideas from previous cultures or thinking, yeah, I could do that. But you get the idea. It's very useful. Next we have visiting interesting websites. And I don't mean Facebook. That is not an interesting website. Find websites that interest you, about your hobby or whatever you enjoy doing or what you're good at. Third, to meditate. Admittedly, a lot of people don't do this because they say, oh Lewis, I can't find 15 minutes of the day to meditate. I'm sorry, but if you can't find 15 minutes in 24 hours, you have a scheduling problem, and I suggest you get someone to schedule your stuff a bit better for you. 4. Watch captivating TV, and I don't mean Friends. I mean watching something actually that moves you, that makes you feel better. Watch nature, that's always a great one. And everyone loves listening to David Attenborough in the background. Number 5. View a worthwhile film. A lot of different films intriguing, as in something that's not quite normal, but just something that's just outside your peripheral of knowledge. Definitely worth doing today. Number 7, listen to music and podcasts, aka like you're doing now. Congratulations, you're one step closer to being more inspired. Now number 8, write freely. Just look at a piece of paper and write whatever comes to mind, even if it just turns into a shopping list. It's better than just sitting there doing nothing. Number 9, and this is very difficult for English people, especially on the tube, is talk to a stranger. So I recommend doing that because you never know, you might meet a lifelong friend. Number 10, observe nature. As I said before, very worthwhile, and there's nothing like watching birds fly between the trees, listening to their calls, hearing the crunch of old dead leaves as you walk over them. Definitely worth doing that. Number 11, take photos. I've done this a lot recently. When I say take photos, I don't mean of yourself, I mean of what's around you. And it might inspire you to have a look at different places. Number 12, associate with remarkable people. Well, if you know me already, you are associating with remarkable people, because, I am one. So definitely look into doing that, find more interesting people, because you can never not learn something from new people like that. Next, number 13, look at old photos. Everyone loves the old photos, the old family photos, or my personal favourite, I like looking at what the town used to look like 100 years ago or 50 years ago, and you can just see how each thing has evolved. Next, number 14, go for a walk. Who doesn't love a walk? It stretches, you can walk out all your bad anger, all your bad moods, just walk it out and carry on with your day, enjoy the scenery, listen to some good music. Number 15, draw or paint anything. Admittedly, for some people they can't do this all the time, but I recommend that you do. Just get a sheet of paper and a pen. If you end up writing a shopping list, you end up writing a shopping list, but you can do a little doodle of a cat drinking some coffee on the side. Definitely worth doing that. Okay, number 16, eat something or somewhere exotic. So, there is 200 plus countries on this earth, and that means there is at least 200 plus different cuisines that you can try. Or even if it's just a different pie you've never tried, or from a different pie shop. Try it, eat something, or go somewhere exotic. Number 17, play a sport. It helps improve all your endorphins, which creates more creational ideas flowing through your mind. So definitely do look out for that. 18. And when I say this, I don't mean like stare at them like you're going to drill holes through them, but just watch kids. They are so funny, they're a laugh, especially in supermarkets. It's very cute when you see them pushing around the big trolleys that they can barely see over, being helpful and stuff. It's really cute. I like watching it. It's funny to me. Number 19, smile or laugh. Even if it starts off as a fake smile, studies have suggested that the literal fake it till you make it situation does work when it comes to smiling. Admittedly, it doesn't work for everybody, but they've proven that with enough people it does work. Number 20. Visit an unfamiliar site nearby. So you think you know everything about your town, about your square block of where you live. Well, have you found this new alley where there's a new pop-up coffee shop? Have you gone down the corner to the new kebab place? Have you gone round here to the new art gallery? There is always a road that you haven't been down before. And don't think you have, because I know no one has seen every single road everywhere. Number 21. Let go of baggage and negativity. So what most people do with this is they think of all their baggage as if they were carrying it. So you've got one bag per arm, you've got all your emotional baggage, and I want you to just release your hands and let it fall to the floor. Release all of that negativity into the ground. So it's like the opposite of conducting electricity, you're expunging negativity. Number 22. Relax and daydream. That's where the whole staring out the window situation happens. So all you do is you close your eyes and you want to picture everything. Just random daydreams in your head. For like most men, it's saving damsels in distress, or being the world-saving hero, or just climbing up a building like Spider-Man. Every man has done this. I assume women do it as well. Okay, number 23. Travel out of town. So you think you've seen everything in your town? Well, you might have. It's very rare, but it's a possibility. But have you been to the next town over? Do you know their pubs? Do you know where's the best place to get a cheese pasty? Because we all want a good pasty, don't we? Number 24. Go to sleep. As the great famous saying goes, if everything goes wrong, go to sleep. Deal with it in the morning. That would be my advice for most of you. Number 25. Dream. And I mean dream in the sense that when you're asleep, and dream for a better life when you're awake. Do this, and I think at least one of these, or three of them, will inspire you. Thank you for listening to part 1. Part 2 in a minute.
Welcome back to Learning Left-Handed. This is part 2 of episode 13. Today we're doing the final part of powerful networking secrets. If you haven't seen the last 2 episodes, please go and listen to episodes 9 and 11 for part 1 and part 2. This will be point 9 in powerful networking secrets. To be the power broker of email connections, aka you connect 2 people via you. So say you know someone who's getting their kitchen fitted, and you know someone else who is selling, let's say, cabinets. You're the person who brings it together. That's very good. Now, lots of people have asked me to add how to be a rainmaker, aka a person who makes lots of money very quickly. Obviously, it's a very important thing to do with powerful networking secrets. So you've got to have 5 different things. You've got to have a positive attitude. You've got to have developed interpersonal skills, so you can talk to people. 3, constantly spot opportunities. Number 4, which most people don't do, take some risks. And 5, be the go-to person. You want people to think, well, I can't find this thing anywhere. Who should I go to? That person, because he is the go-to person. Number 11, use clout.com. Okay, you receive solid intel on how your influence is perceived by others. Very useful website, go and check it out. Number 12, use Google Alerts for reputation monitoring. Okay, if someone talks shit about you on a bad post, you want to be the first person to read it and try your best to get rid of it. And last, we have the same equivalent for Google Alerts, but for Facebook. It's called nutshellmail.com. So whenever anyone talks bad about you or talks good about you, you will be the first person to find out. Okay, this has been Learning Left-Handed. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. And as always, thank you for listening. Hello and welcome back to Learning Left-Handed. Today, this is episode 14. And we're going to start off with part 1, which is, if you're worried about failing a project, these are the 6 things I want you to ask yourself.
This was sent to me because a friend of mine is going through this issue at the moment, and I wanted to help him. You know who I'm talking about. Thank you for listening, and if this helps, send me a message, leave a comment, wherever you are listening from this from. Okay, let's begin. If worried about failing a project, you've got to ask yourself, what is the actual worst that could happen? The worst that could happen is it doesn't work. That's it. Then you just fix it a bit and then you keep carrying on. Secondly, what would I do if the worst really happened? So if it didn't work, what would you really do? Would you just sit there doing nothing, or would you sit there and try and fix it? Because at the end of the day, those are your options. Outside of setting it on fire, for example. But we don't recommend that. Thirdly, how would I lessen the pain and get on with as much happiness as possible if the worst did occur? So if the worst did happen, how would you bounce back from it? How would you lessen the pain? You could always laugh at yourself, which is very therapeutic, so I've been told. Or what else would you do? You just got to think about that. Because once you know the worst, you can build off of that as a bedrock and build up. That's my opinion anyway. Fourthly, what alternatives would you have? AKA, well, if it does break, what do I do from it? And if it didn't break, well, what have I learnt from this, Number 5, what I can do now to lessen the probability of this dreaded event. Okay, so what can you do today that will stop this event happening, or at least lower the probability of it? I'm not saying it's going to be 100% improbable, because that's, impossible. Everything has a chance to happen, but how can you make the odds longer? And finally, is there anything that you can do to increase your chances of achieving the goal? So instead of trying to work out what makes it less chance to fail, you also work out what makes it more chance to happen, to work, to function. I hope this has helped you for the people who requested this. And if you didn't request it but it still helped you, brilliant, I'm glad. Thank you for still listening all the way down in episode 14. Thank you for listening to part 1, and now we'll have part 2. In part 2 we will be discussing and continuing on the popular series of little TikTok hacks that I have found throughout TikTok. This is part 4. I highly recommend you listen to part 3, 2 and 1, which is on episode 12, 10 and 8 respectively. Go and have a look at them. But after you finish listening to this is part 4. First things first, we want to give this little hack, which is to buy stuff off of Amazon warehouse, which basically people send, return and open stuff to Amazon, and Amazon wants to get rid of it quickly, so they sell it cheaper at Amazon warehouse. Highly recommend looking at that. This one is for our more technical and people who get annoyed about paywalls, because everyone gets a paywall when they're halfway through reading stuff. It's quite annoying. So this is what you got to do. First of all, you got to go to More Tools, which is in the 3 dots. After that, you'll go into Settings. In Settings, you'll go to Disable JavaScript. According to my research, this should work at least 4 out of 5 times. So give it a go and leave a comment and tell me how it's worked for you. This next one is called Laws of the World. These are 5 laws that basically command everything you do across the world. First one, Murphy's Law. That the more you fear something, the more it will happen. So if you're afraid, say that your girlfriend's going to leave you, the more you worry about that, the more chance that that's a possibility. So don't ever worry about that. What will be, will be. Next, we have Kidlin's Law. As in, if you can write the problem down, clearly you have it half solved. Because if you can identify what the issue is, and you can write it down easily and comprehensively, you've already got it's half solved. It's brilliant. Next, you have Gilbert's Law. The biggest problem is that no one tells you at work no one tells you what to do, and that's a big issue at work, because you think you've done it right and you don't know, and you don't want to ridicule yourself. So very important law. Next we have Wilson's law. Very important one, but it's a bit robotic for some, but you'll understand when I tell you. If you put information and intelligence first at all times, then money will come rolling in. So take the heart out of the equation, if you can. If you want to put the heart in the equation, then go and work for a charity. And finally, in this section, is Falkland's law. That if you don't have to make a decision, don't. Keep that in mind next time you think you have to do a decision, but you actually don't. Okay, this next one is a series of places most people should go and see around the world. First things first, next time you're in Budapest, you go to the thermal baths. They're very good, great for your skin, something that you'll remember forever. Next is the sauna in the sky in Helsinki. It's a beautiful view, highly recommend to do that. Next, well, like most people know, in Amsterdam, everyone loves bikes and there's lots of canals. So some genius has put together water biking. So give that a go, as you basically cycle through the water around Amsterdam. So give that a go. Next, and I'll be personally going to see where this is because I'll be going to Croatia very soon, is cliff diving. It's very big in Croatia, so have a look at that. And finally, for this section, there's beautiful scenic train rides in the Swiss Alps. Highly recommend if you're in Switzerland to go and have a look at them. It's on a train, obviously. And so I've been told they serve great hot cocoa on board. So give that a look. Next, as always when I do a TikTok thing, I do stuff for coders, because you guys represent a big chunk of my audience. So this is what it's going to be. It's called Code Academy. Basically, it is free coding classes for anyone who wants to sign up. Highly recommend that you have a look into it if you think to yourself, well, I should learn how to code. Everyone seems to be coding in the future. Do that. And finally, I have lots of people asking me how I do so well on Fiverr, which is, basically where you say I can do this, that and the other. And the other way around, that you can bid on projects. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to go to pfpmaker.com. You're going to create a great profile picture of yourself. You're going to learn on-page SEO to write the better gig descriptions and titles at moz.com. Then take personal branding and development courses at hubspot.com. And then learn about deliberate practice at jamesdeere.com. That's the last one for today. I hope you've enjoyed this week's Learning Left-Handed. Hello and welcome back to Learning Left-Handed. This is the latest and greatest place where you can find your tips, tricks and things so you can enjoy your week every Thursday. Now, on today's episode we are starting off with side hustle gigs. These are 11 different places where you can use different side hustles to make money. First of all, we're going to start off with FreeUp, which is an e-commerce and digital marketing specific place. A lot of my friends are using this right now, either to help people or to get help from people. It's very well paid from those who can get into it. Go into it. Number 2, we're talking about Hired, which is more of a tech focused place. But what's good about this, it's free to join, which not many of this list is. So definitely go into that. It is a lot to do with, tech related stuff. So just, if you're good at that, go and have a look. Number 3, we're talking about TopTail. It's where contractors do mostly remote work. So aka, you will be told to sit at your desk and do whatever work. So it could be translating, it could be audio to text or text to audio work. There is a heck of a lot of stuff out there. Highly recommend checking that out. Number 4, this is Container, which is basically, it's for freelance writers who can write between 150 and 1,000 words an article. I highly think many people should try this. Even if you don't think you can write, give it a go, see what happens. You never know, you might find a hidden talent within. Number 5, literally, findsidegigs.com. It's mostly marketing focused, but it is unique and interesting. So have a look at that. Number 6, we have Fiverr. Fiverr is a place where you can literally get anything tech related done. Anything creatively done. So if you wanted a journal made, they will send you the design, get Amazon to print it for you, bing bang boom, you're making a killing. And besides, on Fiverr you could literally advertise anything you want to do originally for a fiver. Obviously it's not a business plan that works for everything, but if you want to stay true to the name, do it for a fiver. Number 7. This is in Facebook groups, but it is rather time consuming finding the work, and it's not, from what I've been told, they are not the safest people when it comes to money transfers. That a lot of people get ripped off either side, so I put it in here because I was asked to, but I don't highly recommend that one. Number 8, you've got Craigslist gigs. Not an oldie but a goodie. It's not as massive as it once was, but it's extremely local. So say you have to walk from your house to work and you go past several different buildings, and say someone, in this case, wanted to know what's the new sign on Edgware Street. You go up there, take a photo of it, and he'll give you a quid. Just little tiny micro tasks like that, but it can always lead up to very big things depending on what's on there. TaskRabbit is quite similar, but it is more to do with just the micro tasks, not so much the bigger stuff. But have a look on it anyway, because you never know. You could be paying for your coffee that day just by taking a photo of a new building. You never know. Number 10, you have people per hour. This is one of the more professional ends of the spectrum, and highly recommend trying that. It's mostly virtual work, so aka you'll be doing everything from your desk. So brilliant for people who are stuck at home with nothing better to do. And then finally, you have speciality marketplaces. I've used this to teach people English in the past. It's made me a nice chunk of change. You have to get on there with a good relation. You start with a good relationship with people, and you build it off from there. And that's what I did, and I have taught 17 different people how to speak English well enough that they can get their English equivalency exams in their respective countries, which is very different because several of them were in Brazil, several other ones were in Poland, and 2 were in Saudi Arabia. So definitely worth checking that out if you think you can speak English enough that you can teach people English. Okay, that's been part 1. Now, part 2. Which is, today is the second part of learning languages from YouTube. It has got a lot of love for the first part, so we decided to finish it off. Highly recommend that you try this if you're trying to learn a new language. If you're wondering about the first part, go back not to the last episode, but the episode about 1, so episode 13, and there you'll see part 1 of this bit. Okay, let us begin. Now, this is for the people who want to learn Japanese. There's several different people you can use. These are the top 6 that we have found on our very thorough research of it. You have Rachel and Jun, abroad in Japan, learn Japanese from zero. That Japanese man Yuta, Tae Kim, and Michaela. All of these you can find on YouTube. Highly recommend that you'll give them all a listen, see which one works for your type of flow, because each person learns differently. So work out which one works for you, and then give it a go. Even if you just learn a few sentences, every day just do a little, and it'll just make you feel a lot better, because you're expanding your language. Next, for those who want to learn Chinese, we have 4 today. They're called Fiona Tian, Learn Chinese with Emma, Off the Great Wall, and Learn Chinese Now. So definitely give those a go. Highly recommend, well, all of them, to be fair. They're just so different ways of learning the same thing. I'm sure one of them will make you learn highly well. And now this is the last one. This is Korean. We have 5 different points on this. I wasn't originally going to put Korean onto this list, but a special person has asked me to do it. So this is for you. So to learn Korean, there's 5 YouTube channels you could go for. You can go for Conversational Korean, Learn Korean with Go with Billy Korean, Sweet and Tasty TV, Talk to Me in Korean, and Simon and Martina. Each of these are as I said before, highly recommend trying each of them out, see which one suits your style. And what I highly recommend is, apart from doing this, is to learn the 100 words that are most used in their language, because that's a solid base to build any language on. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. This has been Learning Left-Handed. This has been our 15th episode, and we are still so happy that we can continue to send this to you. We'll be doing an unboxing video on Friday on our YouTube channel on the White Viking. Highly recommend you check that out on Friday. That'd be Friday the 3rd. So yeah, give that a check. And thank you very much. This has been Learning Left-Handed.